So this is behind the scenes of the 2020 livery. Wanted to share with you kind of how it came together and all the things that have been taking place prior to SEMA and the actual unveil. Thought you guys might enjoy kind of the behind the scenes of this and have some insight to the process, or at least how I do it, which is far from a professional. So anyone out there who really knows exactly what they're doing, does this for a living, this is rough, please forgive me. I make it happen. This year, my whole concept was Blade Runner, kind of like cyberpunk city. Really wanted to introduce some new colors into the livery, and that's something that I've always been drawn to, and I feel like it fits the whole like rad theme and will give that type of energy and vibe and style. So I was kind of exploring a few things with that. Just really liked like the colors that were taking place here. These were just some ideas. Really wanted some pops of color in there. I always reference previous years and do a lot of staring at the car all throughout the season, when it's on track, when it's at the pit. It's really seeing what's gonna stand out the most. Same thing here, just really like these different effects. I have never really gone into like a lot of detail on the car. At least with me, I've seen liveries be a little more effective when you work larger. Just kind of like looking at these and seeing the different glows that are taking place and the style in it. Really wanted to captivate like the bright rays. I liked this stack right here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to utilize that in any way or actually apply that to the livery. I'm still in the process of making it. I have to work on getting the car ready for Irwindale in a few weeks, and then right after Irwindale is when we will take it to SEMA. But yeah, really just drew from these images and kind of imagined how I can interpret that. Of course, that always like translates differently in the livery, but I kind of talked to you guys before, like on my Instagram stories, about how I really think concept is a big part of it. Even if it doesn't directly look like that, if you stay on track with it, I've seen that help me in kind of making the end result come together and make sense and look very intentional. So I came up with the design like pretty rough in Illustrator. I work kind of messy when I've got a lot of ideas going on. Photoshop is not my strength. So I've kind of worked with different people in the previous year to help me out with really like putting the graphic together, the actual rendering of the livery on Dan's cars. But we are doing the unveil at SEMA this year, which is in November, in about a month from today. I really wanted to be able to show our partners what the car was going to look like, what my ideas were. I was able to work with Christina from Curvaceous Wraps. You guys will have to look her up. She's very talented, and you can just tell that she loves what she does. That is just speaks volume to working with someone when they're passionate about what they're doing. So I had reached out to her and asked her, we've been following each other on Instagram for a little while, but I reached out to her and asked if she could help me out with the rendering and just really bringing these chromes to life and getting the lighting right, all of that. So these are what I gave Christina, just some raw photos of the car so that she could have a base to work from. And then I had sent her my design mocked up on the car, and then she was able to help me. I went through a couple versions of it, but this is where we ended up. What I was kind of shooting for was, you know, just subtly again bringing in the colors. This gradient right here, kind of how I work on the designs. I like to go for a certain color or finish or effect that would be something different that we haven't done yet, something that I can explore. People have already done it, but I haven't done it yet, so it's something that I like to kind of play with. I do go through like few hard proofs and samples before we actually output the final files. So you'll see me be doing that in the next few weeks. Haven't started on it yet. I'm very busy, but pretty much I started off with having this as silver chrome and printing this gradient directly on it. And then we have the overlapped blue chrome here, and we're gonna have these bases, the bumper, the base of the side skirt, front fender, front bumper, all of that will be paint. So I will be working on actually selecting the right shade that we want. And today we have to decide what color base we want to go with. Our good friend JP over at JV Auto Body lent us his books, so lots of options. We'll see what we end up with. So yeah, this is kind of what I'm going for. So I thought carrying over this color right here into this ray that we have going on, and this is where it kind of like gets really rad vibe, and I introduced like the Blade Runner font in there, kind of tying in the black here. It worked well with the Gear Wrench logo. Haven't decided yet what material we're gonna use for this orange. Have to be sure that it matches what their color codes are. So need to be within all of that so that it is on brand. Have to wait for that to open. Yeah, I played with this a lot. This is the top of the car, and again, Christina spent a lot of time putting this together, making sure everything was to scale. A few details like the actual spoiler and everything is a little different. This is a little different back here, of course, but the actual size and shape of the car was spot on for reference. She did a great job at that. Really cool. Having Gear Wrench on the hood here and the roof. Hoping to get some sick drone footage throughout the season. I actually put together the roof with these kind of breaks and lines before I put that together, and then I was like, oh wow, that looked really cool on the side here, and I think it added something to it. It just gave it a little more energy, and I really liked the tie-in of the two blacks right there. Kind of brought it together. So yeah, we're getting some more color. So happy to have Gear Wrench on board with things, and really like infusing their brand into RAD, and they love that we're able to still carry RAD Industries. That was important to them, and we're just having a good time with it. So Christina was amazing, set up all these crazy layers, and then I was able to kind of manipulate a couple of things. This is probably the 4th version from where I started from, based on like where these rays would lay, the position and size of our logo. We originally had Gear Wrench this way, and then worked with Gear Wrench a little bit also with one of their designers, Matt, and we had figured out to actually have it go with the same angle as the rest of the car, and that looked, I really am happy with how that turned out. So you have direct print of the Gear Wrench orange on here on silver chrome. So my plan is to do like a silver chrome door, then I overlay this blue chrome cut shape, and then I'll probably end up using some knifeless tape across the base of this blue. So that whole rear fender, this section here, is a whole separate other part. And then obviously these entities can all be put on separately. It's a lot of fun being able to kind of put together what outfit we want it to have for this year. But anyway, now that I've talked your guys' ear off, I gotta get back to it. Got a lot of stuff to do. It's gonna be a very, very busy month, but I'm excited to hopefully capture as much as I can in the process with you guys. I'll try to bring you with me when I go to the printers, and you guys can just see me kind of rack my brains out trying to do something that probably shouldn't be done. That's usually the case with most projects that I'm working on. But yeah, happy to have you guys along with me. Alright, till next time. Hey guys, so it is Sunday. I just finished getting Big Blue ready for Irwindale. Got that all squared away over the weekend, which is nice, so I can dive right into starting some hard proofs with our printers. Make sure I'm getting the colors right, and then something that I like to do before I go and cut our material is print on some bond paper, like a cheap paper, just in black and white, so that I can get an idea of how everything's gonna lay out and if what I have on screen is going to interpret the same on the car. So I know that I should be working to scale, and Christina from Curvaceous Wrap spent a lot of time making sure that we had that established for the driver's side of the car. I'm just a little hesitant because the photos that we provided to her, it's really difficult each year. I kind of mentioned this, how we don't always have just like a strong base of the car. It's like usually different color panels, or the guys are still kind of working on assembling the car because we only have a small amount of time during the off season where they've actually removed the livery and the car's built. So the photos I gave to Christina, she did an amazing job because it didn't have the windshield. I think the rear wasn't put together still with the photos that we did get. And then the only thing that made me nervous a little bit was that the car was photographed, the base photos that we worked from, it was photographed right in front of the shop where there's a little bit of a slant. So, you know, rather just be safe than sorry. I don't want to waste any material. And as a designer, I kind of change my mind and move things around here and there. So what I do is I print my shapes and design ultimately on this paper material. It's usually used for, I think, like prints and stuff like that for architects, out of a CAD department for my old job. Mouse Graphics helps me with those, and I will literally, super pro, I will usually hand cut those, like just the general shape of it. And then something that I also did, I just print them in black and white. I feel like it's less distracting because I don't want to print something that's in a color that's not going to be the true output. So this is kind of like step one in the process of how I do things. So I'll do those prints and then I'll set up my files and start doing hard proofs, like color proofs with the printer. Make sure that that's all set up. So one thing that I do feel like I'm gonna have to spend a little more extra time on is the B pillar and doing that color gradient that's printed directly onto the silver chrome. It always makes me a little nervous with printing because then you get one shot. Like, it's not like you just have spare material for that. I'm sure it'll be fine, but I'm just trying to be proactive in that. So I'm talking about like this area here. That's all silver chrome vinyl. And then I'm gonna have a strip right here, but it's directly printed with that blue, purple, and orange. And I need to make sure that that color is staying close to the gear wrench orange. It won't be like 100% true to it because of course it's on a silver material that's metallic. So I still printed the bond paper in this, and I kind of broke up like where the colors will be because there's only so much space on that B pillar. And then this I've actually reworked. I'll have to show you guys that. This was just for mock-up purposes, and that's like a low-res image that I pulled off Google, but I actually went in and customized some colors to try to bring like these blues a little brighter so that it'll pop off the black a little more, because from a distance it's always just, I don't know, there's not as much of an effect to it. And I integrated a little bit of orange hues into here, just the slightest bit. I don't really have, we have a few Supras here that I can use for reference, but not all of them have like the weapon wide body kit. We have Rory's Supra that has it on there, but that car is not fully assembled yet. I don't even know if the doors are on there, things like that. But I will figure it out, make it work, and I will let you guys know what I do next. All right. Okay, so putting this together piece by piece, I talked about how I put on that bond paper with the samples so I can see, kind of get a general idea of where things are lining up. Looks a little bit like arts and crafts right now, but I kind of understand what's going on. Using the paper like this really helps me map out what's going to make the most sense and eliminate any overlap, like different seams and everything like that. So I've made little notes here about how this space that I have right here should probably just extend out, and then this is going to be the silver chrome vinyl with the gradient printed on there, and that can just lay on top of it. That way I don't have to match these up. It just makes more sense to bring that all the way out. Those are good things to figure out before I use up the material and actually put it through the cutter. I also was able to map out that out of this like blue chrome piece here, that I can split it into 2 files, and this would be a really simple extension to just carry out. That way this will literally just be a file strictly for the door, and then this will be my rear fender. So I'm trying to be proactive in what will make the most sense for touch-ups later on and as the season goes on, and of course simplify it as much as I can. And I think the trickiest part is going to be getting the angle even, since I don't do this as a true wrap, it's all just pieces. So I try to create different guides as I go. A lot of staring at the car for now. Same with this piece here. This is going to be the orange printed on the silver chrome, and I kind of was able to gauge that I want to carry this gradient, like the solid, further out here and have it fade off a little shorter, because I trimmed off pieces back here that was more like it was more saturated there. So I'll make that adjustment, and laying it out like this helps me in that sense. The door is going to be a separate install that's just straight silver chrome. I have a few other things, like again, little stuff like this. I can make sure that I extend that a few inches the way it's laid out now. And what other, oh yeah, silly little things like this, like making sure that my cuts come out accurate in my final pieces. I noticed that in these black and white prints, because these are, you know, being based off of my actual files that I'll output from, so I can clean up that stuff. I don't think most people work with paper like this, but it's something that, since I switch it up every year and it's a little different each time, I feel better going about it this way, and this has been, I don't know, the most accurate way for me to figure it out. I kind of noted on here, in this bottom corner, it says blue, and then this is purple, and this is orange. So this is where it will fade. So now I can see, like, based on the B pillar where that orange is going to carry out to, which is really important. So I think I'm going to like minimize some of the purple a little bit and then make sure that I get the most like saturation of the orange going across this back piece here, and then it'll just fade a little bit onto the actual target top. Really trying to get that as accurate as possible. This stuff makes it harder when I piece it together this way, and it just goes to show why people actually do full wraps, because you can design within that actual measurement. But I think it's kind of what has made Dan's car a little different over the years. The way I go about things, if it takes a little more time, then I know that that's a good sign. Let me go ahead and pull this off. Even like making sure that this is all laid out exactly where I want it. I actually want it to go up a little bit more and carry over onto the window and really maximize this space for gear wrench, but at the same time I don't want to cut off like in the actual letters. Dan's having fun, huh? So yeah, you guys can kind of see where it started, and at this point you already know what the car looks like. But yeah, this is a true behind the scenes of how I kind of come about it. At the same time, once I got all that, and like visually had that going on in my mind, I was going through these books from JP at JV Auto Body, and I mentioned this to you guys before, and I think I would like to go with, we're gonna go with a little bit of a darker blue. Dan usually likes the bright colors, but it's kind of a, wow, it does not want to focus. It's kind of a toss-up when we use the blue chrome. Sorry, it's hard to tell, but this is the deep blue that I'm going with because I think it will contrast off of the blue chrome well enough, and then I think it'll actually smooth out the carbon dash that we like to leave exposed. Kind of went around from each car to get a contrast, like seeing the blue against the black is really nice, but we had made the base of the car black on the computer just digitally, and it just didn't appear like we thought it would. And then we don't necessarily want to go with a light blue yet. Obviously we have baby blue, and I think it just looks a little meaner when it's like a dark, rich color. So we'll see how it goes. It's not going to be a drastic change in paint color, but it'll be a nice switch. So that's that. I think the next step will be actually cutting and then probably color proofing with the picture. I'm at Boss Printing. Check it out. Thought I'd show you guys their sweet setup. And then in the back, they got all the goods. They were the ones that printed Dan's livery sticker, repping the Supra on there. But this is like heaven to me. Check out like all their materials. They do a variety of things here. This is where we actually had the trailer. The full 48-foot trailer was here, and they printed and installed the trailer wrap. They do great work. But yeah, just wanted to show you guys a little bit about what they have going on here. Okay guys, so I have a bunch of different samples here, and George and I made some notes. He took the time to kind of work out a few different things. There's different ways to get more vibrant colors, more truer colors, because it will convert from what you have in your file to the actual printer. So without getting into too much detail, we messed around with that a little bit, came up with a couple of swatches to get our colors as accurate as possible for what we're shooting for. And then yeah, the gradient printed on the silver chrome came out really nice, and I'm so excited to get these pieces like fully printed and then be able to see it on the Supra and have it all come together. But yeah, that's Boss Wraps. Check them out. They know what's up. They do stuff all over. George was just telling me how he's been traveling to Texas and New York for different projects. So busy, but they do all sorts of different jobs, like small format and large format prints. I think that's it for now. I'm gonna head back to the shop and hopefully get some of the blue chrome cut out. So just trying to do as much as I can now because it's gonna get crazy right after Irwindale. All right guys, bye.